What's up, dude?
What's up?
Oh, mate. Thanks for doing this today. I really the best thing about this podcast that I love doing the most is just I get to just talk to people that I haven't always spoken to as much. And you were always on the list, man, because I'm keen to just learn more about you and get to know you a bit better. Because I mean, we've known each other for a couple of months, and I've been watching your streams, and vice versa. We've just been hanging out, and I feel like it'll be a nice thing to introduce yourself a little bit to my community, and yeah, hopefully we can grow a little bit from there. So, if you don't mind, man, just give yourself a little bit of a brief intro. Let us know where you're from, what you do, and how you got into Twitch.
Okay. So start out. Um, what I do for work is I work with troubled youth, and I'm always a gamer and always just can relate to these children who I work with very well. And I haven't gotten any thought of what I wanted to say so far, but we're just gonna go with it.
Go with it,
um,
man. No stress, no pressure, bro. Honestly,
right.
just talk however you want to talk and say whatever you want to say. There's no one worried about it here.
Okay. So when I started at my job that I work,
Hmm?
um, there was a moment where I was struggling to find my place. Like I wanted to go to college and do all that stuff, but it just didn't feel right. So after that, my grandma fell and broke her leg, and so I was taking care of her and making sure she got what she needs. And after that, my grandma was like, you should really do that for a living. Like, just take care of people." And I was like, I don't know if I want to be a nurse or something like that.
Yeah, right.
So um it was my friend's mom who suggested that I go work at this children's home. it's
Hmm.
been it's been around forever. Like I went to school with some of the kids that were out there and all that stuff. So it's been well known of this place. It's a very well uh integrated community. And she was like, "Hey, you should go apply out here." And then I looked through it and I was like, it's just a bunch of troubled youth who get pretty much snatched away from their family, and they have to come out here and go through a program so they can like learn coping skills and ways to handle themselves better.
Hmm.
And um, I was like, okay, okay. Um, I got my application. I applied, and about a week later, I got an interview, and like the next 2 days, I pretty much was training. It was that quick, and I was
Wow.
like, you know what, this is what I want to do. Because after that, I just wanted to help these kids out and teach them some things, and um, here we are 6 years later. Like this summer is gonna be my 6th year.
Wow.
Um, it started out with me just like trying to think. I was still young. I was like 18, 19, and I was like, I'm gonna be staying up late anyways because I play video games like crazy.
Hmm.
So like doing overnights, no big deal. And then I got into learning what the program is about, and I was like, you know what, I like this. This is good. It's a good place. And
So you sort of just kind of fell into a job, but at the same
yeah,
time, you fell into something that's now you obviously very passionate about.
mhm,
That's kind of cool though. Like that's how life works a little bit sometimes, isn't it? Like you don't really know what you're gonna do with it, and then you fall into something that you didn't think you'd be a part of, and then all of a sudden that becomes your life.
yep, absolutely, absolutely. And over the years, getting to learn the experience of how to handle certain things because there's lots of emotions with these kids.
Hmm.
Because some of them don't even are like adopted and they have come there and they don't even know who their birth parents are or anything like that, and they're having to cope with all that while being in a facility with other boys.
Yeah, wow. That's a lot of pressure on a kid.
Yeah.
A kid, kid without parents is hard. Obviously, like I was I was lucky enough to have two parents, but like a lot of people don't. A lot of people grow up without their parents, and without parents, you don't have role models. So so they need someone to look up to, right?
Right,
It's very
right.
important for their upbringing and stuff. 100%.
Yep. And I'm one that some of them look up to, some of them, you know, they
Are,
despise me because,
are annoyed by you.
yeah, but I can't do anything about it because, that's how they are.
Like points of authority, you know what I mean? They wrote a song about it. So it's all about it's all about, you're the bad guy because you're the one with the rules, man. That's the whole point. But you
Yep.
know what? If you don't have that person with the rules, then we all fucking suffer, don't we? Like,
Yep.
yeah,
Some of them have
I get it.
caused me a lot of trouble, but like
Yeah.
when they're ready to leave and they're ready to start their own lives,
Yep.
and they're just nonstop. Like I've had texts from people from the office. They're like, "Well, we transported this guy to home or wherever he was going, and he would like nonstop talk about me." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
He was a little shithead, but
But he
it's
still
okay. Sorry for
respected
my
you.
language.
No, no, no. You can swear you like. It's an Australian channel, remember?
Right,
At
right.
the end of the day, man, like as long as you are, I mean, this is the thing. If you have a positive effect on any of them, I mean, you've done your job, right? So
Absolutely.
that's a lot of it. I mean, it's an interesting profession to fall into. Um, for me personally, like you know, I'm all about helping people. Absolutely. Like I started out when I first left school, I started as a nurse. So I was a hospital nurse, like the RN nurse, and I
Oh,
didn't complete my qualification. Um, like I did all the training and I did the um the work at the hospital and stuff, but I didn't finish my university training because I got like sort of like just over halfway through the course and I decided that I wasn't going to do it for the rest of my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, you come to that
mm,
conclusion sometimes when you're studying something. You study it enough and you're like, you get to the certain point, you're like, you know what? I don't think this is, I don't think I want to do this forever. And that's sort
right.
of like what I came to. I'm like, I was only sort of invested in, because um, university or college in Australia is a little bit on the like cheaper than American university and college, I find. Because I mean,
Right.
my course, though, it was like $7,000 a year, I think, which is not a lot at all, in comparison to most things in America and stuff. I hear some of my mates in America like paying like tens of thousands of dollars for like a year's worth of training, depending on what
Right.
subjects you do and all of that. But yeah, so I was just like, I got halfway through and I'd invested about 10 grand. I was just kind of like, you know what? I think I'm going to cut my losses because I don't think I'm going to, even though I loved the subjects, like the subjects were great and, everything was good, the training was good, but I just couldn't picture myself wiping asses for the next fucking year and a half, 2 years of my life. So I just thought to myself, I'd rather get paid doing something else. So I decided to wipe the asses of cars instead.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, because cars don't complain when you change their oil and stuff. You know what I mean? Like they don't complain. They
Yeah.
just hurt you straight up. The amount of times I've
Right.
like fixed a car and then come out with an injury and be like, how does this happen? Like the car is not animate. It doesn't jump out and bite me. Why is it I'm always getting hurt by these things? It's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole aspect of like, being there for someone else, taking care of someone else is like a very like nice trait to have in a human. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
A lot of people don't have that trait, which is like, the world we live in. But, it's nice to have people out there like yourself who actually spend their time and their effort and they actually, spend their life like helping other people, which is really nice. 100%, bro.
The universe really doesn't like care facilities, though. I tell you that right now.
I can imagine.
Um, there's been a shortage of staffing,
Hmm.
and there's care workers like that everywhere, but these facilities that we work at are pretty much a dying breed because there's lots of facilities that are not regulated or don't have the people to help out,
Yeah.
and it's kind of sad that they end up having to shut down.
Do you think it's the pay structure stuff, or is it more just like, people just don't want to do the job?
They just don't want to do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it sucks. Oh, it's again, I mean, you take on responsibilities of others. I think a lot of people just like to be responsible for themselves in that regard.
Hmm.
It's unfortunate.
But we got
Yeah.
a lovely support system out there, so we're
Yeah,
still kicking.
it is what it is, bro. Just make the most of it. Um, in another aspect of your life, I know the gaming is a big part of your life. We've spoken about it before about how much gaming we both do. It's a little bit excessive, but we love it, right? So
Right.
I remember when I first came into your channel when you were streaming, you were playing zombies, and you play a lot of the zombie stuff. I never used to play as much of that, but I have played like the old Black Ops, like what Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 zombies and stuff. But I was never really into it as much. But I enjoyed watching you play it because like the whole time you're playing, you kind of like just talking, which is I thought was fun. Like you're just making it fun. So that's I gravitated a little bit to your channel that way. And then obviously with Halo, like I'm a massive Halo fan. Like it's
Oh yeah.
ridiculous. So
Hmm.
we could talk about that for 10 years. But just to start off with, let us know. Like I mean, what kind of games did you grow up playing? Like what were the games that you always went to? And why did you start streaming? Was that something that was promoted by a mate, or how did you get into that?
Okay. Well, to start out, my first ever gaming system, I was like in middle school, and it was
Yeah,
a GameCube.
fuck yeah. Super Smash.
That came later, but I had.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Zoids?
Yeah, Zoids. Yeah. Oh mate,
Yep.
memory bank
Yep.
time.
That was my first ever game that I got for it, and I'm just like, I was addicted as soon as I touched the controller.
That's so cool. It was probably the most ugliest controller ever made, by the way.
Right. Right.
It was horrible
It's
looking.
got yeah.
It had like
But
the extended joystick like circles and stuff at the bottom. It looked really weird.
and if I played it so much that I literally smoothed out the little rivets on the plastic part,
Yeah.
and I was not good to it. Like if I had died, I'm slamming it on the floor.
Yeah.
It's I think I still have that controller too.
Yeah, just as
But
a memory sake.
yeah. But after that, I was hooked. I always wanted to play games because I grew up not in a very I want to say rich family, because I'm adopted, and
Hmm.
my adopted mom had to work a lot of jobs to kind of help support that adoption transition
Hmm.
because it is expensive to adopt a kid in this society.
Can imagine.
And yeah, for the longest time, she was struggling to support both of us. And she just recently got the GameCube, and I'm just like happy as can be, not realizing that she's probably like sitting there. That's $200, or
Yeah.
like things get expensive, and then after that, I think I gravitated towards the Wii,
Oh yeah.
like back in I don't even know what year.
I don't
It
know
was
what year
back
that came out. That was a long time ago.
school.
Yeah.
I think it was in middle school or high school, and I would just do my stuff at school, come back, get on the Wii. I played Mario Kart for days, and yeah, that's how I started there. And then my addiction to video games increased because I was like, this is so cool. Because like, I have this. This is mine. I always said that whenever I played games. I was like, this is cool. You know?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And then after that, I think my Wii took a crap. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save my money because what I was doing is I was working a weekend job at the water plant in my town. So I
Okay.
was the one helping with the water and filtering out the stuff and all that stuff. And I was getting a little bit of money with that, so I saved that money and I got myself an Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
And then didn't have internet. So I was just collecting games that were probably online, but I could never play them because it's an online feature that I don't have internet. So
Yeah.
I would play uh Red Dead Redemption was my first 360 game, and I'm sitting there going like, "Wow, the graphics," you know. And
Yeah.
then previous
What a
was
great
just
game.
playing the Wii for like 2 years,
Yeah.
so my eyes are trying to adjust. And I'm just like,
There's
"Wow,
so many
this is
things.
awesome."
Yeah. All the moving parts and shit. Like, what a great game though. One of the greatest games
Oh
ever.
yes,
Like, you know, when
and
they brought out the second one, after playing the first one, I played the second one. I was like, it hasn't gotten any worse. Do you know what I mean? Like they've the second one was fantastic, but the first one was still great, even though it was what 10 years prior. Like
right,
it
yeah.
was still just as good, you know, which was wild. But yeah,
Um, so after that, I just started saving my money that I had, like bits and pennies, just saved everything. And I kept getting different games. So I think my first Call of Duty game was Modern Warfare 3.
mm-hmm.
And I still didn't have internet. So I was playing like survival on that, campaign like several times, and just loving that because um I had some friends over and we would play uh split screen,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I would just get smoked by my friend because he was just so good at Call of Duty and stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna strive to get better. So I'm gonna get the bots, and I'm just gonna go around going nuts with the bots.
Yeah.
And so that's when I strived to get better at Call of Duty because I was getting my ass kicked, and I was like,
It's no
I gotta get
fun.
better.
I get that. I get that. Bro, that's wild. It's yeah. When first started playing Call of Duty when Modern Warfare 2 came out, on the Xbox, and yeah, that was just like me and all my mates after work. We'd have like our little clan, and we'd get together and we just talk massive shit, and just like badmouth the other team, and because obviously death comms was a new thing, like when it
Hmm.
when it came out in that game, and like it was so funny, just the kind of stuff that people would say to each other. And like, you think the lobbies are toxic now? Like, you have no idea what it was like back in 2009 or whatever it was. Like that was horrible. You
Oh
know,
my god,
it was just
Black Ops
like
2.
you couldn't have streamed it. Like there is no absolutely
Oh,
no way that you could have streamed that game because you would have just gotten taken down immediately from all of
yep.
the stuff that people said. It was but it was really funny. Like it was a good laugh for everyone because you knew like no one really took you seriously or took any of the death comms seriously. They were more like clip worthy stuff, you know what I mean? Like if I had
Yeah.
I wished that I had like some sort of clip like thing on my Xbox or whatever that I could go back and pull those old clips of like Modern Warfare because I swear to God, like it was some of the funniest things I've ever had. Like some of the funniest conversations I've ever had online. We're in multiplayer lobbies in Call of Duty. It's so
Hmm.
good. Oh man.
Yeah.
Um,
I
when
I
did
really wish I was. Oh,
yeah, go
go
on.
first.
No, you go. Sorry.
Oh, I really wish I had internet back in the prime with Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
Never got to experience that.
Yeah. Wow. Just no internet. That would be weird, wouldn't it? Like, did you not have like a dial-up system or something like that you could use?
I had nothing. There wasn't even a router. No internet.
Wow. That's crazy. Can you imagine living off the grid like that? That's like, how did you what if there was an update for a game? Could you play it still?
Yes, because it wouldn't refresh the update. So I had the original version of the game before it launched.
So no patches.
No patches.
How many bugs did you get in games?
Not many really.
Yeah. I guess there was less back then than there is now because the games are way more complex now than they were used to be.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Like linear format, I would say, in comparison. You
I don't even
know.
know what that is, but you know.
Well, linear just means like simple. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
because a lot of the games were really like, follow this path and don't stray off it sort of games. Whereas now games are like open world RPGs. You know what I mean? Like they're huge to the point where a glitch could be anywhere and you wouldn't know. Because even the game developers probably didn't know. Do you know what I mean? Like they probably made this game and they're like, oh yeah, it's great. And there'll be one like point of the game where there's like a hole in a wall or something and someone falls in it. And you're like, oh shit, like we like missed
Yeah.
that bit. Like it's like Skyrim, for instance. Like Skyrim's one of the buggiest games ever made, but it's probably one of the greatest games ever made. So that's the funniest part about it. It's like
Mhm.
open world, like everything is AI controlled, like everything was fun. It was a great game. I love that game to death. Like it's one of my favorite games to date. And I always laugh at the if you go on YouTube, there's like this thing where you can look up like Skyrim glitches. Like it's like a video of just like Skyrim glitches, and it's just the funniest thing you've ever seen. It's just be like people falling through the sky, and like dragons flying upside down, and just, just like you know what I mean? Like having a conversation
Yeah.
with someone mid conversation, they just stop talking and walk away. Like just stuff like that. The
And the
horses.
mods.
Oh, the horses that would just like fall off mountains and shit. Like, just it was so funny, bro. Like, what a great game. Um, my real question to you is, when did the Halo obsession start? Is it a recent obsession, or did you start playing Halo back in the day?
Um, I forgot to answer your other question about getting into stream, but we'll get back to that.
We'll get back
My
to it.
obsession with Halo, it started around the 360 days,
Hmm.
uh, because eventually I went and got Halo 3
Mm-hmm.
without internet. So,
Yeah.
um, I'd play the campaign so much that I would just repeat the same stories over and over again, try different things, like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Am I going to take him out with the rocket launcher this time or a vehicle? So I
Yeah.
kept thinking of different ways to entertain myself because I didn't have internet.
Yeah. What a great game, though.
And then that stirred into more of the Call of Duty after Halo, because then after that I got internet and then started playing the crap out of Advanced Warfare. And I loved it. The graphics were great. It was my first time on Xbox One. And fast forward to now, where I'm just like kind of overwhelmed with COD, and Halo Infinite was like the closest COD feeling that I could think of. And it's
Yeah.
just, a great game, different sounds, different um, aspects of the games that I really like. And
I
I
get
just
that.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a great game. I mean, like when it comes to Halo obsession for me, I literally am obsessed. Like I have played Halo. The first Halo I've played through so many times, I can literally write the map in my head. Like the amount of times I've played that campaign, like it's actually stupid.
Mhm.
Like like me and my best mate Ben, we used to play it after school every day, and I used to get yelled at by my mum because like he lived next door to me, right? And we used to go to school together. He had the Xbox, so we would stay at his house to play it. And then my mum would call at like 6 o'clock, be like, "It's dinner time." Like, yeah, just got to finish this level because I mean, you remember like back then there was no saving. Do you know what I mean? Like you couldn't save the game mid level and come back to it. That's not how it worked. If you quit, you go back to the start. And like we grew up in a time when save game packs didn't exist. So like we're like we'd be halfway through Assault on the Control Room, and my mom would be calling, being like, "Hey, it's dinner." I'm like, "Oh, I'm never gonna get to the end of this fucking level." Like, do you know what I mean? Try and push my luck a
Mhm.
little bit, and then I get yelled at. But it was It was great fun. Like we finished that game on Legendary multiple times. Like just because we liked the challenge. Do you know what I mean? Like because
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever played that game on normal. Like ever. Like we started playing it on normal, I think the first time, and we were like, nah, let's make it harder. Like, you know what I mean? And then we played it on heroic,
Yep.
and then we went to legendary after that, and we literally never played it on anything less. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, especially as a co-op as well. Co-op on that game was so good, and
Oh yeah.
it was just really enjoyable. And then obviously Halo 3 was a game changer as well. Like that, you know, there is a unique amount of gamers who like Halo 2 the best, right? Those people have something
Right.
wrong with them. But just saying. Like Halo 3 was like a game changer. It was fucking amazing storyline, like amazing game, like brought back all the original references, like Captain Keys and all this kind of stuff, and you know,
Absolutely.
it was just a beautiful fucking game. And like, I don't think they made a good game since then until they came out with Halo Infinite. Personally speaking, I think every other game post that was just like a throw together money grab in some respect. Because
Something like that.
well, as soon as Bungie jumped off development, it just turned to shit. Like, do you know what I mean? It didn't like that. I think 343 Industries was it that took over or something, and
Yep.
it was just the Halo 4 was like just terrible. It was so bad. I don't know why it was so bad. It just was just bad. Like I guess it was the mechanics of it, but it just felt weird. Didn't feel like
Yeah.
Halo, did it?
Not really. But then you got Halo 5 Guardians.
Yeah.
That one.
They actually made that. Yeah. That was an interesting game. Yeah, I didn't get through that one. I tried,
Mm.
but I couldn't get through it. I literally I stopped playing like I think 3 levels in. I was like, no, I gave it a good go. But when they brought out Halo Infinite, I played it on stream, and I'm the kind of person that's very interactive with my streams and stuff. Like I really talk to everyone. Like I try to, incorporate everyone into it. During this game, I literally said no back seating, no nothing. I'm just gonna play it from start to finish, and if anyone says anything, I will ban you perma. Like that was my rule, and I got through it. Like dude, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Like it was just everything that I had dreamt about that the sequel to Halo 3 would be. Do you know what I mean? So it was just like, and the grapple was so good. Like that perk, that adding of a grapple hook and like, power ups and stuff was actually a game changer. Like it was just so fucking awesome. Like it made the game 10 times better and also made the Master Chief way cooler.
Yeah.
Though,
And
yeah.
you know those checkpoints that you can unlock? They're like the fobs.
Yeah.
Okay, so like they have like gun stations. You get
Correct.
an
Yeah.
unlimited amount of guns, and I found out you use the AIs that are around that area. I had them
Give,
all pop into
give
the
them more
vehicle.
guns.
Yep, they all had like snipers and rocket launchers.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do anything. You just
Yeah.
kept shooting everybody.
You remember, I think might have been Halo. What was the first one? Do you remember how in Assault on Control Room, how you got the tank, right? And all those guys at the base of the level would come and like jump onto the tank. Now, basically, there was a weapons cache down the bottom where the tank spawned, and like there was all these rocket launchers. And so what I'd do is I would swap guns with all of them, with all rocket launchers. And so it'd be like 4 guys on the side of this tank with rocket launchers, right? And I just start driving through, and half the time what happened is because the AIs just point in the direction, because it was old school, like they would point in the direction of the enemy and fire, right? But they would still do it even if they were firing at themselves. Do you know what I mean? So they ended up just blowing themselves up like all the time. So like the guy would be like point towards the sky, be like Banshee here, and he point to the sky and they shoot the tank because he couldn't get the rocket past the tank, and then he just blow everyone up on the tank. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
And you're sitting there like dumbfounded.
yeah, you're like, the tank's blown up, I died, everybody died. Just some guy with a rocket launch just going rogue without his like scope on. Like, just it was hilarious. But it was fun. This is the thing, right? This is where all the Halo memes come from. This is how, Red versus Blue started, right? Because
Right.
basically Halo was just like, it was imperfect. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't perfect, and there was a lot of things that happened that were just really silly. So they just made a comedy out of it, basically, because it was funny. Like, you've seen Red versus Blue, right?
I've seen some episodes. I haven't really seen much of it.
Yeah, just the whole Blood Gulch War thing was just, oh man, if anybody hasn't seen it, they should go watch it, because like, it was so good. Like back in the day, when YouTube first started, that's what we watched. You know what I mean? Like, oh dude, it's so funny. Like, you look at YouTube now and it's all like, people being like, look at my KD, look at this kill, like, look at this and that, the other, like how good they are at the game and stuff. Back then it was just all like, look at how I blew myself up and ended up in the sky. Like,
I believe I can fly.
Yeah, stuff like that. Just like people trying to like rocket propel themselves into the roof of the map or something, like just stuff like that. It's like, wasn't actually like any like kill feed stuff. It was just us being idiots.
Yep.
Oh, so good, man. Anyway, coming back to the conversation about Twitch and like streaming and stuff, like, yeah, how did you get into it? Like, what drove you to decide to stream to other people to watch?
So this started back 2014. I was in college for a semester. I dropped out after that, but during that semester, um, it was the first time I got Xbox Live. So like I'm still brand new to internet pretty much, or online, It's only been about like 6, 8 years. So that year I've met some crazy people, and then I met some of the um most interesting people, and they would say some of the funniest things. And after meeting those people, they stuck around, and after a while we just like created this bond, and we were like, you know what? We should stream this. This is some great stuff right here, back in the day, that's what we always said, is like, I'm like, we should do this. We should start a streaming thing.
You never do though, right? You just talk about it.
Absolutely. So like 6 years later, I'm still friends with the people that I met in 2014. And I finally had the means to stream. I was like, you know what? We're going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then I started streaming from my Xbox, and no camera, no nothing, just the game itself and my voice.
Yeah.
And anybody who was in the party with me. And after that, I think it's just the first stream, I was just like, this is awesome. And it's always been a dream to stream since then. So I guess that would be my answer, because we said some entertaining things, and I'm just like sad that we couldn't get recording of it and stuff like that.
No, I get that, man. Like, this is the thing too. You got to remember, when you start streaming, you don't think much of it, right? You just think, oh, it's just me playing a video game and other people are watching. But it's actually way more than that. Like, it's actually, when you're streaming a game, or when you're streaming anything, you're actually interacting with people who come in and talk to you, and et cetera, et cetera. When you first start streaming, that doesn't happen, obviously, because you're brand new. Like, you come in, you don't know anyone, you got to meet everyone, you got to, get to know people and stuff, and they got to come in and they got to get to know you. But people just think it's as simple as just playing a game and pressing a live button and just playing, right? But it's actually not. It's way more complicated than you think. Like, the amount of, dude, like, I don't know about you, but when I stream nowadays, it takes me an hour and a half to fucking prepare the stream. Like, I have so much stuff to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, equipment check. And it's still like, half the time I start up and still broken. Like, but you go through all the equipment checks, and you've got a lot, check your overlays are right. Then you got to run your game settings and all these things that people think, oh, it's as simple as just pressing the button, but it's actually not. It's way more complicated than you think. Way more complicated.
Audio check, game capture, make sure the screen is on the right screen.
Yeah.
Make sure you're on the starting soon.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like then don't even get me started about programming a stream deck or something. Like, oh, like that's just a whole nother kettle of fish there. But I still
Yeah. I don't have one yet.
Yeah, I still need to get one, to be honest. Like I just basically use the right side of my keyboard for my hotkeys. And like it's bad because, when I start typing something, if I start typing something with numbers and letters and like at the same time, my screens start changing. Because I've got them all programmed in the numbers section. So like it's like, oh, okay, you got to like I've been meaning to get one for a long time, but I just, again, it's an expensive hobby. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
Like, after PC purchase and all the other, I have 3 screens in front of me and I have, all the cameras and equipment and all this kind of stuff. Man, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that we spend on this kind of stuff. And like,
yep,
all in the love of just playing a game. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. It's wild. But yeah, look, I don't know about you, but streaming has actually been one of the greatest achievements of my life. Like I've had so much fun doing it. Like it's I've never thought like personally speaking, I never thought I'd have a hobby like that because I was like you, man. Like I was always just playing campaign games mostly. Like I would never really play multiplayer games much, like online and stuff. I was more like a storyline kind of person. That's why I play a lot of story games like Fallout and Skyrim and Red Dead and all these games that are just like even games like Far Cry. You know what I mean? When you can have like people join you and stuff. But I still wouldn't have it on because I would rather just play the game myself at my own pace and enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of enjoyable to do. But now you can do it and people follow you along. Like they kind of enjoy to come and watch. So it's also enjoyable as well. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I enjoy the crap out of streaming and meeting new people, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely a people person as well, because obviously everything you do with work and all that kind of stuff, like, interacting with people every day, it would be an easy fit for you, yeah?
Absolutely. Interacting with new people, I'm just like, you see that first time chatter, you're like, hey, how's it going? How'd you find the stream? And how you doing? How's it going? And then you go back to playing the scene that you're at, and then they say something like, oh yeah, so it just comes naturally.
Yeah, 100%. So I know that you live sort of like, middle America sort of area, around that place. What's it like? What's it like living where you live? Like, what's it like in America? What's the life like? Because you know me, like I'm a big fan of America. Or I've traveled to America many times, and I would love to live in America. Like that's one of my goals. But obviously, pandemics and money and all that kind of stuff gets in the way sometimes. So tell me about where you're from, what you and all that kind of stuff. Give us a bit of an insight to that.
So I live in a small town, like country town, like a block away is literally the farming elevator, where they have like the big cement
Oh yeah.
towers. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a country town. It's very like it's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Not much goes on around here, but I enjoy that. That's good. I keep to myself. There is like no reason to like be worried about um someone causing me trouble or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's just kind of nice to start out. You never know. There's people out there that can still be stingy, and be spiteful and stuff like that. That's anywhere.
It's
But
just life.
yeah, it's pretty quiet. There's lots of around my area, there's lots of older older people, so I don't really have many complaints about ruggedy kids running around, causing havoc.
Yeah.
So and it's just a great little town to like just kind of be at peace. There's a bunch of nature around me. I live in a valley, so it's like trees everywhere, lots of animals. So like when I was on my way to grab my food, which I'm currently still eating right now, um, I saw probably about like 20 deer
Just hanging out.
just hanging out. I just saw the lights and they're just like eating. I swear to God, I saw someone chewing on some grass. One of them was just sitting there looking, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like it's just so natural to them because it's just a um what's the word? There's more nature than there is like industrial stuff. So
Yeah.
there's more trees, more fields and stuff, and you'll see a lot of that.
Yeah, wow.
There's um so many deer, so many like I almost hit one, so I was like, oh my gosh, just trying to get my food. Like it's like I am not gonna crash today. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna crash today. You're just gonna scamper across the road, and I'm going to avoid you.
Love that. Dude, it's so funny. Like, it's the total opposite where I live. Like, the complete opposite. Because I live in the middle of the city. And, like, one of the
Oh
biggest
yeah.
cities in Australia. So, like, this is where all the people live. Like, so I'm just not used to that at all. Like, I know what country towns like. There's a lot of country towns in Australia that are just like, you know, population zero. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not many people,
Hmm.
and they sort of basically the only people who live there are the people the farmers, basically, like the farmers and their families, basically, and like
Right.
because most of well, the state that I live in New South Wales, like it's called the agricultural state. Like everything, when it comes to food production, pretty much all of it happens here. Do you know what I mean? Like farming and food is mostly, sugarcane, graining, like all that kind of stuff. Everything like that is done in this sort of like state that I'm in. And the capital city, which is where I live in Sydney, is right on the coast, right? So there's literally like we don't do anything here. We just profit the money. Like, it's all business here. Like, this is the business capital of Australia. Like, everything that we do in Sydney is business, like stock market, that kind of stuff. Like, it's very New York City sort of situation. Whereas like
Oh God. Yeah.
anywhere outside of here is just all farmland. Like, as soon as you go like west, say 3 hours, the farmland starts, and then it just goes for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. Like, it's
I just gotta go like 5 miles and I'll see a field.
yeah, exactly. It takes me a while to find one, but it's just mostly suburbs, buildings, fuckloads of cars, like everywhere. So
Yep.
when I went to America and I went to a few different places, the dynamics, which is why I asked the question in the first place, the dynamic of different places is what blew me away when I went to the States, because everywhere is so different. Do you know what I mean? Like, every state and every place that I went to is completely different to the last. Like,
Yep.
even going from like I went from LA to Vegas. Do you know what I mean? That was weird. Like, Vegas is a fucking weird place, man. Like, that's I was not ready for that.
Whatever stays in Vegas or whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
And there's a reason for that.
That's a saying.
There's a
Absolutely.
there's 100% a reason for that. But then, like, I went to other places, like um where I go I went to Nashville, right? And Nashville is a fucking lovely place. Like, I had a really lovely time in Nashville. But it's very like, it's nothing like, the coast states. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely nothing like it. Like, it's just a completely different world. It feels like a different country, to be honest. Like, from Nashville to LA
Oh
is a
yeah.
completely different country. Like,
The accents though.
oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
That's different
no,
than my accent
I know.
because
Well,
I don't have that.
everybody has different accents, right? Well,
Mhm.
like I guess the further, I don't know what the further north you go, the less of an American accent you would have, right? I feel like
Right.
that might
More
be.
the we like Alabama, Georgia, West Virginia, Texas, all those areas have the southern kind
Yeah.
of accent. Yeah, you'll see a lot of that. And then up here is just mostly just how I normally talk. And, you know, we talk different than like the New York City, they have those like Boston accents.
Yeah, Boston.
Get out of here.
Yeah, yeah. It's always really elongated, like they're yelling at you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
So,
found when I was in New York City, everyone was yelling all the time. It's like, why are you yelling at me? I'm literally right here. It's like they're just trying to talk over all the traffic horns. Do you know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
it's just I've never heard. This is and this like little things, right? When you travel the world and you travel different places, little things like surprise you. So the thing that surprised me the most in New York was the amount of people beeping, like honking their horns. Like that blew me away
Yep.
because like I've never heard that many people honk their horns so often. Like it's like honking your horn in New York is just normal. It's just like a thing people do. Whereas like honking your horns in Australia means you want to like really upset someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
like,
like you don't honk a horn unless someone's done something completely special and they've like cut you off or they've done something really, really like dangerous. You know what I mean? And then everyone will honk their horn to be like, you're an idiot. But in New
yeah.
York, it was like basically a honking of a horn is like just saying, I'm behind you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I
I
know, I
mean,
can
yeah,
see you. Like,
I never thought of it that way, but most of them, I think, is just because they're impatient.
yeah.
They just want to get through and go home or do whatever. Lots of people late for work and stuff because of traffic.
Oh, yeah. No, you would never drive in New York City. There's no way. Like,
Yeah, never.
that's probably why there's so many cabs still. Like because they're the only mode of transport unless you catch a subway. Like I walked everywhere when I was there because it was just easier. Like because I couldn't navigate the place properly. And it's very easy
Mhm.
to like walk around because it's in a grid, right? So like, I found that I just like if I need to get to here, I need to go 6 streets this way and then 6 streets that way. Do you know what I mean? Like it was really easy to figure that out. Whereas like I don't know whether you've ever seen a map like an aerial road map of Sydney, but it is just
Mm.
like what I would call a clusterfuck. Like it's like roads on it's like there's circle roads and straight roads and like it's just like you know so if a kid had a pencil on a piece of paper and you said draw something cool and they start doing that, that's what the roads of Sydney look like. Like, like whereas like you go to Melbourne, even Melbourne's the city south of here, and it's perfect grid. Everything's set out grid wise. It's all tramways and they have like like light rail and everything's set out correctly. Sydney's just like because it was a town that was formulated upon like a settler's town. They settled
Mm.
on the coast and then they just started building stuff. So they had no infrastructure whatsoever. They built everything on sandstone. Like
Mm.
so stupid. Like and everything on this in this city is built so close to the water that like it's within meters. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
nothing makes sense. And so like if we had a tsunami tomorrow, everyone would be underwater. Like it's
The ground just
it just
eats through it.
disappeared. Yeah. But like
Yeah.
they literally they built this place with no infrastructure whatsoever. Like the sewers were like built out of the roadways. Like they literally had to like build new roads on top of the roadways in order to create sewer system. Like it was just it's chaos. Whereas like
Hmm.
you go to other places and it's like, oh, okay, this is easy to navigate. I know where I am. Like, do you know what I mean? I just
Right.
that made me laugh. But
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. Like America just fascinates me. It really does. Have you ever traveled outside of America?
Mm. No, I have not. I wish I could, but
Yeah. Too much work to do.
too much.
No,
Well, I
that's
would have
fair.
no one to go with. I don't know. I could use a vacation though. I'm not gonna lie.
Where's the vacation spot for you? Where are you gonna go?
If I were to go on vacation, hmm, I would say Canada.
Yeah.
Seen like amazing pictures of what Canada looks like. I'm just like, I want to go.
Yeah, I've never been to Canada. That's one place I've never been.
Hmm.
It looks
My
nice though.
Yeah, my grandma went and she had a bunch of different photographs taken of like the ponds, crystal clear water,
Mhm.
and it looks like a poster. You know, like those really fancy looking
Oh
graphical
yeah.
posters. Yeah, it looked like that, and it was a naturally photographed picture.
Yeah, wow.
I'm just like, wow,
It's
that's where I would
crazy.
want to go.
Crazy dynamic though too, because people always like mistake Canada for America and vice versa over here. Because obviously, you know, North America is North America, like, but then you don't realize how different the places are unless you go there. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah,
whereas like people probably have the same idea of Australia. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's the outback. It's the outback, desert everywhere and kangaroos bouncing across the Nullarbor or whatever. It's like, that's none of us see that. You know what I mean? No one goes there. Like, no one travels that far out. Like, you got to understand the way Australia is laid out, everybody lives at the coast. Everybody. Like, every single, like, civilized, like, city in Australia is on the coast of Australia. Like if you look at all the major capital cities, every single capital city is close to the coast. Every single one. And the middle of the country is just desert. There's nothing there. There's nothing can grow there. You can't do anything in there. It's just hot and no one wants to go there. It's
yeah,
like Death Valley, but it's like half the country. Like it's just, do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Nothing survives there. It's just reptiles. But yeah, so people always have this weird like distinction of Australia. They're like, oh, it's probably just, a whole bunch of desert and a whole bunch of animals. It's like, well, it is if you, travel outside of anywhere else anyone lives.
Yep.
But it was interesting. Like even when I traveled to LA, like LA was just like too much for me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's just too many people. Like,
So many walkways just full of people and
yeah, it was
like New
just,
York City with just a bunch of vehicles and stuff.
oh yeah, it's overwhelming, man. Like that amount of people in one place is just weird to me. Like, I think they said there was like 30 million people or something in LA County, right? That's that's more. There's more people in LA County than there is in the whole of Australia. Like, our
That's
our
saying something.
population is 28 million. Do you know what I mean? So
Wow.
that's no one. Like that's literally like because I think what is it? Like California has like 70 million people, right? So like
Roughly.
that's the double or more than double the amount of people that live in the entire of Australia. And Australia is nearly as big as the United States. So like
Like what?
there's nobody here. Like this place is empty. Like literally, we only take up like 15% of the country. The rest of the country, it's just inhospitable. Like there's you can't live there. There's nothing there.
Like you step
So
out in the desert and you're just like, nope,
you just
going back to
melt
society.
into a fucking
Yeah.
cube. Like no, it's true though. Like I mean, I've traveled inland. During the summertime, if you travel inland to say 6 hours inland, the heat can get up to 50 degrees Celsius. That's like the kind of stuff you step on the road with your shoes and they stick to the road. Do you know what I mean? That's how hot it can get in the middle of the country.
Wow.
It is wild. And even then, like on the coast, sometimes it gets up to like 40 degrees. You know what I mean? And I mean, Fahrenheit, that's like 112 or something, like something crazy like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's not cold. Like
I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's pretty hectic. But I mean, I don't know, like I'm not complaining about the country per se. Like because I live here, like I'm Australian, like I love my country, but at the same time, going to other countries shows how backwards your country is sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah,
Like
I get that.
when I went over to America from here, I noticed that there was so many things in America that were way ahead of Australia, like to the point of like it was ridiculous, like just silly stuff, you know, just stuff that should be
It's
available, like
silly
like
stuff.
like unlimited internet. Like do you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, you were saying that earlier.
yeah, like the phone thing blew me away. Like the fact I couldn't unlock my phone in another country and I couldn't get an unlimited plan on my phone, like just it was fucked. Like so I got to the LA and just bought a phone because I was like, what's easier to do that than it is to actually use my own phone? It's cheaper. It just blew me away. I was just like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't
Yep.
understand it at all. Um, just stuff like that, and I don't know, like the fact that we still have to wait for movie premieres, like that seems crazy to me. Like the internet exists, so like surely, like by the time a movie's released in the United States, right, and it's pirated, and somebody can download it, it's still not out here, and so I just download it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people used to do that all the time. You know what I mean? Like, whereas nowadays, I mean, I think it's getting closer and closer to like releases and stuff, but just stuff like that, just it's like we live on yes we live a fair way away, but um you know basically the internet has caused the world to come closer, right? Because obviously
Right.
like right now, like I'm in Sydney, you're in fucking Iowa, like we're just having a conversation, like, do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and it's instant, like there is like it blows me away, but the fact we can do this, and then the fact that things like what I said before with LA and the phone thing exists blows me away. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Yeah.
it's like, well, if the technology is there, why haven't we utilized it yet? What is stopping us from achieving that right now? Like, why do we
Right.
have to wait 10 years for things? Like, I don't. It doesn't make any sense to
Yeah.
me. You know?
I think the same goes for like Alaska. Alaska's way up past Canada.
Oh yeah,
They have
yeah,
to get everything shipped out there. So that might be the same thing with Australia. Like
yeah,
they're probably like 5, 10 years behind because they don't have the stuff shipped out there as
yeah.
fast.
So it's more like a logistics thing than anything else.
Yeah.
You think it's like a first world country? Do you know what I mean? Like something a place where that is self producing in some way, shape, or form that they would figure it out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like it seems crazy to me. Um, I don't know. It's silly stuff. Anyway, um, the other question I was going to ask you too is with the streaming and stuff and the gaming, where do you think it's gonna end up at? Like, what is your goals? Like, what have you got goals for the year, or do you have anything that you want to achieve, or you know what's the main reason like behind it? I guess you love community, you love meeting people, you love all that kind of stuff, but what do you want it to grow into? Like, what is your vision?
That is a good question.
Yeah. It's always a good question. I
Um,
give it to everyone. So
my goals. My goals, along with what I do for work, being a mental advocate, pretty much. Helping out some people that are feeling down. That's why I keep streaming and doing what I do because sometimes I can be funny, sometimes I can't. But you know what? If I'm a voice that someone can just have in the background while they're doing stuff, you know,
yeah,
like I'll talk to the people who are there, whether they're chatting or not, it doesn't bother me at all. I'm just there, if they need a voice to listen to, if they're just feeling like, lonely or, just need some background noise,
mm-hmm.
that's what I want to do. I want to be a mental advocate,
Nice. Well, that's a good thing
help
because
people out.
Yeah, dude, people need that too. You know, people need that. I mean, one of the things I've noticed mostly on in streaming and stuff is people do reach out a lot more to you because they spend a lot more time with you. Um, so like, if somebody was having a hard time, they wouldn't call a hotline. Do you know what I mean? I don't think people do that very often. I mean, some people do, but a lot of people don't, because they don't want to reach out. They don't really feel comfortable talking to a stranger. Whereas, like,
Right.
I find a lot of the times in these communities and stuff that we're a part of, a lot of people are more open to expressing themselves to you because they spend more time with you during the day. Like, if you're streaming 6 hours a day and people are just sitting there hanging out with you, you're basically family by the end of the week. Think about how many
Right.
hours that is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's 40 hours. Like, if you spend 40 hours with anyone, you're gonna get to know them, and you're gonna entrust some sort of like response to them, right?
Right.
Whereas like, and if you do it for however long we've been doing it for, like, I've been doing it for like 19 months or something. Like, you get to know people pretty well. Like, they're basically family at this point. And so, it's not uncommon for people to reach out to you during a live and talk to you about stuff that's important to them. And
Right.
if that's your goal, that's gonna definitely work out for you because I mean, the interaction that you give to those people is gonna be like worth everything to them.
Oh yeah.
So that's a cool goal to have because it makes sense, right?
Yep. It's a little hobby, but I think it's awesome, getting people that pop in regularly when you start streaming and just want to check in. Um, that I think is cool because like they care enough to show up and be like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna do the same thing for you. How you doing?
Well, that's what
Make
it's all
sure everything's
about.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing too. Like, people can use the platform in different ways. Like, some people use it in the way where they just want to play games and they don't really give a shit about any of that. And other people will use it as a way of networking. So, like, similar to what like a LinkedIn would be. Like, you start talking to one person, the next person shows you towards the next person shows the next person. It's like that's where the raid system is so good. You know what I mean?
Oh
Because
yeah.
you get to literally take a whole bunch of people who you know and trust and enjoy company, and then and introduce them to the other people you watch yourself, or the other people that might watch your channel or whatever. And it's like it's an easy way to grow everyone's communities together, um,
Absolutely.
which is what I really am believing in. Like, I believe in like helping other people in their communities as much as humanly possible, because I know at the end of the day, like it's just like we're all just one big community. Like, people need to, like, the more people that realize that, I think the better the platform will be. Do you know what I mean? Because like a lot of people will just be like, this is my community, and fuck you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people do that a lot on this platform, or on multiple
Yep.
platforms. And I just think to myself, like, that's not a really smart way of going about anything, is it? Like, that's sort of like it's isolating yourself a little bit. So like it's showing uh, your cards a bit. You're basically saying, hey, I'm doing this for money. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm doing this for money.
Yeah.
Come and pay me. Like, that's what people are saying. Whereas like for those who started out doing it for one reason and then end up in another, they find themselves in that trap, right? Whereas most of us, we just want to play video games and chat to people. Like, we don't really care that much. And the more people we meet and the more people we get to know, like, these are considered like our closest friends. So,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Especially, I'm a bit of a hermit myself. Like, I don't chat to many people outside of the internet. Like, I don't really have that many IRL friends. Like, yourself living in the country, like, you probably don't see that many people. Like, and that's the way
Nope.
you like it. Like, you like
Yep.
sticking to yourself, your own thing. Like, I'm the same. Like, I like my own company. I don't really particularly like going out and doing crazy shit all the time. Like, I'm more than happy to just sit in front of a computer, chat with my mates on the internet, and play video games. Like, that is my thing. I've been doing it since I was a kid. So,
Absolutely.
do you know what I mean? Like, and that's at the end of the day, that's how we relate really well. I feel like that's how I was when I first started watching you stream and do your stuff, and I was like, I get this guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really enjoyed it because I was like, he's just me, just living somewhere else. Like, you know, this is why we got on so well. So it's like, you know, everybody's in it for a different reason, but I really think the whole community aspect of it can be taken advantage of to the point where it's like you can actually make something really cool. Like, you know, I think more people just need to look at it that way, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, look, people are people, business is business, I guess.
Pretty much.
Gotta do
Some
what they
people
gotta
make
do.
it a business. Some people make it a hobby.
Exactly right. Dude, I I loved having this chat with you. We had a lot of fun, eh? Like, I really appreciate it, and I love just getting to know you a little bit more because like the whole point of this podcast and the whole point of why I do this is so that I can get to know people in my community better. Like, you know, and I can introduce those people to other people and like vice versa. Because basically, what happens when I get someone on the podcast is that people will listen in and they'll be like, oh my God, I didn't know that about Robert. Like, you know, I didn't know anything about Robert. Like, no one in our community would know that you were working with the kids like you do. Like, no one would know, you know, half this stuff that you've spoken about with the video games and stuff. So I really hope that this helps, and I hope that you get more people from my community over to your community to try and like, you know, just get to know you a bit more and you know, enjoy your content as well. I really hope that happens. But yeah, anything
I
else
like
you would
that.
like to add prior to finishing? Anything you want to promote or anything you want to talk about?
Um, Trying to think. I think I'm gonna do. Can I promote one thing?
Of course you can.
Um, Tomorrow I'm gonna do like a throwback Call of Duty open lobbies. So that's gonna
Oh,
be something I want to do. So if you're around for that,
yeah, I might have to join on that one. What game are you gonna play?
I have no idea. I pick on the spot. So like Black Ops 3 or a game that I haven't played. World War II.
Oh yeah, I might have to whip out my Xbox. It's in the cupboard. I'll pull it out and chuck
Okay.
and plug it in.
Okay. Sweet.
Why not? We'll give it a go. That'll be fun, right?
Yeah, going back and just, reliving the glory days, thinking about, oh man, this was awesome. Like that's I get so many comments when I do the throwback Thursdays. Like
Yeah,
they're just like, oh man, I remember those days. Oh, I
yeah,
miss this Call of Duty, but like it's still there. You can still play it.
yeah. Exactly. I love that. Oh yeah, wow. All right. Well, yeah. Hit me up on Discord and let me know. And if you want it, and I'd love you to do so. Send me a little like a little promo for it, and I'll post it for you in my Discord, so we can get everyone over there and see if we can get a couple extra people to join you.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Um, Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure. Catch Robert's Game on Twitch. How often do you stream? Like every couple of days, or?
I'm very sporadic. I'm going on a streak of uh I haven't streamed in like 7 days because this week has been awful. And I usually will try to stream every 3 days a week, so on and off. So like I work Monday, Tuesday, I'm off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, work the weekend, and then I work the weekend, then off Monday, Tuesday, and then work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So like
Yeah.
2 to 3 times a week, I'm gonna try. It's very difficult with full-time
No, I
hours.
100%. I understand that, man. That's why I had to get a set schedule in because otherwise, you know, it's a bit like that too. I understand that 100%. But yeah, look, we'll try to catch you, and I look forward to seeing you next one. Appreciate you, man.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
dude.
having me.
Bye.